Good afternoon, welcome back to Baking Bakers. Today in Michigan we have a cold and snowy, dreary day. So the best thing to do when you have a cold, snowy day in Michigan is make bread. So we're going to make some just very basic white bread. Sometimes bread seems a little intimidating, but I promise you it's not as hard as it seems and it's worth the effort. It just takes a little bit of time. So the first thing we're going to do today is we're going to bloom our yeast, or proof it, if you will. So in this cup, I have 1 cup of warm water. I like my water to be around 110 degrees. I usually go by feel, but I'm going to go ahead and stick a thermometer in. 109.9, that's exactly perfect. So to that, I'm going to add 2 1/4 teaspoons of regular yeast and 1 teaspoon of sugar. The sugar helps the feed the yeast. So I'm going to give that a stir, and then we're going to let that proof for about 5 minutes. And if our yeast is good, which I expect it to be, it will start to bubble up, which is a very cool process. So we're just going to let that sit there. Meanwhile, I have put 2 cups of bread flour in my large bowl. A lot of people like to make yeast bread with their mixer or with a bread machine. I like to go old school. I like to knead it by hand. So I don't have a mixer out. I'm not going to use it. I'm going to start with 2 cups of bread flour, and I will be adding more to that as we get farther into it. I am going to add 3 tablespoons of unsalted butter, 3/4 teaspoon of salt, and 2 tablespoons and 2 teaspoons of sugar. And the total amount is 3 tablespoons, but I took a teaspoon out to put in our yeast to bloom it. So I'm going to wait for that to bloom, and I'll show it to you, and I'll be back in a minute. All right, I'm back. It's been, I don't know, 4 minutes or so, and I just want to show you this. See how that has gotten a whole 1/2 inch of foam on there, bubbly foam? That is exactly what you want your yeast to look like. It's perfectly proofed and ready to be put in. So I'm going to put that in my 2 cups of bread flour. You can use all-purpose flour, but if I have bread flour, I like to use it for bread. So I'm going to go ahead and put this in here. I'm going to swish it around to get it all out. To that, I'm going to add 1/2 cup of warmed milk. I warmed this up, and it's not quite as warm as the water was, but I like it to be just a little bit warm. And I'm going to add my 3 tablespoons of butter. Then I'm going to add my 2 tablespoons and 2 teaspoons of sugar. And lastly, I'm going to add my 3/4 teaspoon of salt. And I'm adding that last because you don't want to put that in at the same time as your yeast, because it can inhibit the yeast activation. So I'm going to put that in now. And this is very, very thin. I can't really knead that, and I knew it was going to be like that. So I'm going to add some flour. You can always add, you can't take it away. I'm going to add another cup. So I had 2 cups in here and 2 cups in here for 4 cups of bread flour. Stir that up good. Starting to come together. I'm going to add about 1/2 cup, maybe not quite. And what I have here is a dough stirrer. It works really nice, but you can use a wooden spoon or even a spatula. All right, now this is getting to where I want it to be. It's pulled away from the sides. It's got a little structure to it. So now I'm gonna make some room on my counter. Oh, sorry. And I'm gonna add some flour to my counter generously. And I'm gonna dump my dough right out in the middle of that flour. Clean off my handle or my spoon, whatever you want to call it. Now I'm going to start kneading it by hand. A lot of people will do this in a mixer with a dough hook. I'm not that person. So we're going to knead this for almost 10 minutes. So I like to have my extra flour right here for when I need it. I bring it into a football shape, and then I use the back of my hand and I push it out. And then I gather it in, turn it a half a turn, push it out. And I just keep doing that. And at first, it's going to be sticky and it's going to need a lot of extra flour put in. I don't want it to stick to my counter. I don't want it to stick to my hands. So I'm just going to keep working that flour in. Push it out, turn it a quarter turn. "10 minutes seems like a long time, but it goes pretty fast. And by the end of this 10 minutes, roughly, the dough is going to be nice and smooth and elastic. See how it's kind of bumpy and wonky? That's all going to go away. So basically, one hand is pushing it out, the other one is guiding it. I think I may have told you this in a previous video, but I used to go into our local school and teach kids how to make bread. And I would tell them to make bread when they're frustrated or upset, because you can really work your aggressions out on that bread. And again, you just keep adding flour until it's not sticking at all. You don't want to put too much, just enough. And you get the feel of that. Believe it or not, it's been about 5 minutes. See how it's starting to shape up better? Starting to get more elastic, smoothing out, not needing as much flour. This is going to develop that gluten, the air pockets. All right. We're just under 10 minutes here. And I like the way this looks. It's nice, smooth, stretchy ball. So now I'm going to put it back in the same pan that it came out of, but I'm going to spray it a little bit with oil. And just spray the top a little bit. I'm going to cover it with saran wrap tightly. And I'm going to put this in a warm place to rest for about an hour till it's about doubled. And what I like to do is turn my oven on for 1 minute, turn it off, and then put my dough in, and that gives it a nice warm protected environment. So that's what I'm going to do. Out of the 2 cups of flour that we had, we didn't quite use it all. There's probably a 1/4 cup here, and that's okay. That's just in case you need it flour, and we didn't. So I'm going to let this rise, and I'll see you back in a while. All right, it's been about 45 minutes. We're going to get our bread out and take a look at it. Looks good. Beautiful. The next step that we're going to do is roll it out with a rolling pin, and then roll it up and put it in the pan and let it rise again. So I'm going to take just a little bit of flour on my surface, not too much. And I'm going to get my dough out. And flour the top of it a little bit. I'm going to roll it into a rectangle. That's going to be about 12 by 8, somewhere in there. I did get a ruler out. I don't usually use one, but I want to press all the air out. All right, that's more than 12, probably 15 by 9.5. I like it. I'll take it. So now all I'm going to do is I've got it pretty well even in thickness, and I'm going to take this short end and I'm going to tightly roll it up. Just like that. I'm going to pinch these edges together a little bit. Turn them so that seam is on the bottom. And then I'm going to karate chop my ends and tuck them under. And that's going to add a little bit of surface tension to make the loaf nice and pretty. I have these stone pans that I use, and I don't oil them at all. But if you're using a excuse me, a regular bread pan, you'll want to oil it. I'm going to fit my dough right in there nice, and then I'm going to cover it back up excuse me, with my saran wrap that I used before. I'm going to put it back in that very lightly warm oven and let it rise until it's a little bit above the bread pan. So I'll see you then. All right, it's been about 30 minutes. And look at this, perfect. Ready to go in the oven. I have preheated my oven to 400 degrees. We're going to cook it for 30 to 40 minutes. We're going to start with 30, and then I'll be back. Our timer's about ready to go off. It's been 30 minutes. So let's check our bread. Looks perfect. One finishing touch. I'm going to set it on this cooling rack. And then I like to take a stick of butter. This is salted butter. And I just run it over the top. And it just melts right in. I just like to take my time and use about a quarter of the stick of butter, maybe a little less, and just let it run down the sides. All right, I'm going to let this cool in the pan for 15 minutes or so, and then we'll take it out and let it cool and cut a slice. I'll see you in a bit. All right, let's take this out. I'm just going to run a knife down the side. Looks terrific. It's a little hot yet, so I'm going to let it cool down just a little bit and then we'll cut some. All right, this has had some time to cool off. Let's give it a slice. My best tip for cutting bread is to turn it on its side. It's so much easier to cut that way. Looks delicious. I hope you enjoy this recipe. I hope you don't get scared off of bread. It's not hard, it just takes time, and honestly, most of the time is just waiting. I read my book or do some sewing or clean something. So most of it is just waiting for the bread to do its thing on its own, and it's so worth the time. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time on Baking Bakers.